Rivian's CEO RJ Scaringe was recently asked about his opinion on the Tesla Cybertruck, and in this video I want to discuss what RJ said and the likelihood of Tesla's new truck negatively affecting Rivian R1T sales. I'm John, and this is Cleanerwatt. Rivian has been operating with little competition in the EV truck space so far, but that's about to change with several new choices about to hit the market, like the Chevrolet Silverado EV, the Ram 1500 REV, and most notably, the Tesla Cybertruck, which has somewhere around 2 million pre-orders. On that note, during the Code Conference 2023, Rivian's CEO RJ Scaringe was asked, "You're about to have a competitor on the horizon here. What do you think of the Cybertruck?" To that question, RJ replied, "I think if you were to think of like the Venn diagrams of customers, there's probably not a lot of overlap." With that being said, I created a basic Venn diagram comparing some potential character traits of customers that would purchase the Rivian R1T or the Cybertruck, and here's what I came up with. As a reminder, in a Venn diagram, where the two circles intersect there, those are the kind of customers that they would have in common, the character traits of the customers that these two trucks would have in common. And in each of the individual circles, those are the character traits that are likely different. For example, the R1T is really marketed towards outdoor enthusiasts. And while the Cybertruck will likely also appeal to outdoor enthusiasts, I believe the Cybertruck is more suitable for someone who needs a work truck. In addition, the Cybertruck will draw in a lot of customers that probably have never owned a truck before and are not a typical truck driver, but they are Tesla fans and they love Tesla products. Maybe they own some products already from Tesla, and they just want to have a Cybertruck for that reason. It's an amazing looking truck. It's going to have great tech. And so I believe that's one set of customers that will purchase the Cybertruck. Whereas with the R1T, of course, there are Tesla owners that buy Rivian's vehicles, but there are likely a number of customers that wanted or want a Tesla alternative, and they turn to Rivian's products, for example. Now, I'm not going to go over every difference here in this particular chart, but these are just for an example. You may have some different ones to add to that, and do put those in the comments section below. What you believe the target customer for the Cybertruck is versus the target customer for the Rivian R1T. But nonetheless, I do want to highlight some of the things that I believe they have in common, the target market customer that they have in common. I believe the kind of customer that's going to purchase a Cybertruck or a Rivian R1T is likely to be more tech savvy. They're likely to be an early adopter of technology. They're likely to be concerned about the environment, be an EV enthusiast. With all that being said, though, I do believe there's enough of an overlap here that, as I'll talk about later on in the video, I do believe that the Cybertruck really will appeal to a lot of Rivian's current customers, and I believe it will affect their R1T sales, but we'll talk more about that shortly. Now, beyond the customers, let's talk about the products themselves and just do a brief comparison of the Rivian R1T versus the Cybertruck, starting with price points. When it comes to the Tesla Cybertruck, very likely the pricing of that truck is going to cost quite a bit more than the prices that Tesla discussed back when they revealed the Cybertruck in 2019. I say this not only because raw material costs have gone up and a lot of things have gone up since 2019, but also due to the fact that during Tesla's annual shareholder meeting that was held on May 16th of this year, Elon Musk said the following about the Cybertruck, quote, "We don't just need to ramp up production, but we also need to improve the production cost efficiency, which is going to be also a very hard thing." After sharing his production volume estimates, Elon added, quote, "We'll make as many as people can afford." So with those comments from Elon Musk, the initial version of the Cybertruck, which is likely to be a dual motor version with 350 miles of range or so, very likely that vehicle will cost $80,000 or more. And this compares to the Rivian R1T, which has a base cost starting at $73,000, and that price goes on up to $94,000. Now, once again, with the Rivian R1T, these are base costs. You can add a lot of different packages and things to that to raise that price higher than that, but the starting price of the truck is around that. So if a dual motor Cybertruck costs somewhere around $80,000 or so, it would be right there, kind of in the middle cost of the Rivian R1T. Another important comparison is the exterior size of the truck. The Rivian R1T is not a full-size truck, whereas the Cybertruck is a full-size truck. As you can see on this chart, the Cybertruck is quite a bit larger than the Rivian R1T. And these dimensions here for the Cybertruck come from @MatthewDR on X.com, when previously he posted some measurements from a pre-production Cybertruck. So these are not official measurements for the Cybertruck, but very likely the dimensions of the finished production version will be very close to this. In addition, the Tesla Cybertruck rear bed should be somewhere around 73 inches in length, whereas the Rivian R1T rear bed is somewhere around 54.1 inches. So when it comes to practicality and usability of the rear bed, the Tesla Cybertruck, being a full-size truck, should have an advantage over the Rivian R1T, a pretty big advantage really. When it comes to range, it looks like initially Tesla will offer a 350-mile dual-motor version of the truck, which falls somewhere in the middle of what Rivian offers when it comes to range. But if Tesla is able to offer a 500-mile version in the future, that of course will be more than the Rivian R1T offers right now. When it comes to off-road performance, it appears like the Rivian R1T may be a little better of an off-road vehicle than the Cybertruck. However, we don't have the final specs for the Cybertruck just yet, and Tesla may surprise us on this. Moving back to RJ's comments about the Cybertruck, he also said, quote, "But I think it's great that a product like that exists in the world. As I said a moment ago, if we really, truly want to electrify everything that's produced, to give this some scale, there's 1.5 billion cars on the planet. We as a planet produce about 90 million a year. Customers want lots of different things. So we need to have a choice. We need to have variety. So it's great to see something that's so different that's there. I hope there's lots of different choices." RJ Scaringe's next comments deal with the market in general, and RJ believes that there is plenty of room in the market for both Rivian, Tesla, and other electric trucks to be able to thrive. RJ mentioned specifically, quote, "Often in the context of like the tech space, we think of a single winner or maybe a small set of winners. In transportation, by definition, there needs to be many winners. So there needs to be 20 to 25 successful auto manufacturers building electric connected vehicles. And so our success doesn't require someone else's failure and vice versa. It's just very different than when you think about traditional big tech, where there's one or two really high concentrated winners." In general, I agree with what RJ said here. Really, at the end of the day, we're trying to electrify transportation, and I believe that is RJ's goal as well here. And that means replacing gas and diesel trucks. So there's plenty of room for that. The majority of trucks being sold right now are still, of course, gas or diesel. And so we need to replace those with electric trucks. And it's going to take more than just Rivian or Tesla to do that. It's going to take quite a few companies to be able to do that. But if Tesla can keep the price of the Cybertruck reasonable and the truck ends up having the kind of features and specs that I expect, this will no doubt create some negative effect to the demand for the Rivian R1T, which, as I will discuss shortly, with first Cybertruck deliveries happening in the very near future, it looks like that may already be negatively affecting Rivian R1T sales. Overall, as a company, I believe Rivian will be okay. They have the R1S SUV, and that's a great vehicle. They also have the Amazon delivery van, and they're working on their next generation of smaller and less expensive vehicles. But I believe there is enough overlap in customers between the Rivian R1T and the Cybertruck that, in my opinion, this is going to negatively affect the demand or the sales of the Rivian R1T. Based on this Electrek article, which I have mentioned previously, it appears like Tesla is aiming to produce around 375,000 Cybertrucks per year once fully ramped up. On the flip side, in Rivian's Q2 2023 shareholder letter, it was written, quote, "We are increasing our 2023 production guidance to 52,000 total units." In addition, it was also written, quote, "In the first half of 2023, we produced 23,387 vehicles, which is in line with the production volumes we achieved for the full year 2022. So in general, Rivian is increasing their production volumes However, there was an important note here that I want to highlight because it was also written in Rivian's shareholder letter, quote, "During the second quarter, we also saw a meaningful increase in R1S production, with R1S representing about 70% of our total R1 production in the quarter. This was the first quarter in which we produced more R1S vehicles than R1T vehicles. Over the long term, we believe consumer mix will be more heavily weighted toward the R1S." This particular revelation here that Rivian expects R1S sales to be higher than their trucks, their R1T trucks, is really interesting, especially due to the fact that first Cybertruck deliveries are happening quite soon. Customers know this. Potential truck buyers know this. There's also other trucks about to hit the market, like the Chevrolet Silverado EV and the Ram 1500 REV. So it's very possible that this is an indication that customers that would be buying a Rivian R1T truck are holding off to purchase competitors' trucks, and this is leading to demand for the R1T being lower than before, which could explain why Rivian is now producing more R1Ss than R1Ts. As a reminder, the R1S is an SUV version of the R1T. With that being said, Rivian is working on their next generation of vehicles. And as was written in this Inside EVs article from April of this year, Rivian's second generation platform will be referred to as R2, and vehicles built on this platform should be smaller and more affordable. When it comes to Rivian's production volume estimates for their next generation vehicles, the author of this article wrote, quote, "Rivian anticipates a start of production for this platform as early as 2025-2026, with the aim to manufacture 200,000 R2 vehicles during 2026 and 400,000 units after that." It will be interesting to see the R2 series of vehicles from Rivian, and I hope they do really well with that. But at the end of the day, when it comes to the current situation, I do appreciate RJ's perspective, and I partially agree with him here, but the reality seems to suggest that the very approach of first Cybertruck deliveries may already be affecting R1T deliveries and demand. Do let me know what you think about all this in the comments section below. I'd love to hear from you. And also, I'd like to say once again, thank you to all of those of you who support me through Patreon. Your support makes a big difference and really does help make these videos possible. If you'd like to find out more about how you can support my work through Patreon, I will put a link in the video description. Thank you so much.